Messi had always been the icon of grace, the emblem of sportsmanship whose every move dazzled millions around the globe. His name, synonymous with on-field brilliance, carried a legacy built on hard work, passion, and an unyielding pursuit of excellence. Yet, behind the dazzling smiles and endless accolades lay a personal realm of secrets and family bonds, a realm that was about to be irrevocably shattered. On a cold autumn evening, when twilight melted into the deep hues of night, Messi received an unexpected message that would forever alter his world. The message, cryptic and laden with foreboding, hinted at a betrayal from within his own family. For years, a relative, someone he had trusted implicitly since childhood, had been exploiting the Messi name. This kin, driven by greed and moral decay, had woven a web of deceit, using his family's illustrious heritage to manipulate unsuspecting fans and duplicitous businessmen. With each fraudulent scheme, the relative had not only enriched himself but had also sullied the revered legacy that Messi had spent his life building. The revelation struck Messi like a lightning bolt. In the following days, the calm waters of his inner world erupted into a storm of anger, disbelief, and hurt. Every public smile now masked the turbulent emotions roiling within. The betrayal was not merely an act of fraud, it was a violation of a sacred family bond, a desecration of the honor and unity that had been the cornerstone of his lineage. How could someone so close, someone who shared his blood and his dreams, turn to such deception? Unable to tolerate the indignity of this treachery, Messi withdrew into the sanctuary of his secluded villa. The sprawling gardens and ancient halls, once havens of peace and remembrance, now echoed with memories of trust broken and innocence betrayed. In the solitude of long, sleepless nights, he painstakingly pieced together the full extent of the fraud. He discovered that the deceptive relative had not only been swindling wealthy admirers but had also lured other unsuspecting family members into his schemes. The corruption had spread like a poison through the family tree, threatening to tarnish a legacy that generations had nurtured with pride. Determined to reclaim his family's honor, Messi resolved to act quietly, cunningly, and with the precision of a master strategist. A direct confrontation would only invite chaos and public scandal. Instead, he opted for a plan that would expose the deceit with subtlety and unyielding force. Late into the night, amidst the whisper of winds and the rustle of ancient trees, he began orchestrating his counterstrike. Every detail was scrutinized, potential risks measured against the value of restoring dignity, every piece of evidence, from falsified documents to digital footprints, was catalogued with meticulous care. Under the dim light of an antique chandelier in his ancestral study, Messi gathered a small circle of trusted family members. The room, adorned with portraits of forefathers whose eyes seemed to watch over the proceedings, was heavy with anticipation. In a voice that betrayed neither fear nor hesitation, he recounted the shocking discoveries, the manipulated endorsements, the forged signatures, the intricate web of lies spun by the one they once called kin. His words, laced with both sorrow and a fierce promise of retribution, resonated deeply with those present. Among them, a young cousin, whose eyes shone with both admiration and trepidation, listened as Messi outlined a daring plan. The strategy was simple yet ruthless: expose the deceiver to the light of truth and, in doing so, send a resounding message that the Messi name was not to be exploited. As the meeting drew to a close, the gravity of the situation pressed heavily on Messi. Alone now in the silent corridors of his ancestral home, he retreated to his private study, a room lined with time-worn books, relics of bygone eras, and a massive oak desk bearing the engraved names of his forefathers. Here, under the soft glow of a solitary lamp, he began to draft the blueprints of his plan. His pen danced deliberately across the pages of a leather-bound notebook, sketching out timelines, contact lists, and contingency measures. Every stroke was a pledge to restore honor at any cost, a commitment to confront the treachery that had stained his family's legacy. Outside, the winds whispered ancient tales of loyalty and betrayal. The rustling leaves seemed to murmur secrets of past generations, of glories won and trusts betrayed. As Messi's eyes scanned the dark horizon, a sudden movement stirred his attention. In that charged moment, with the first hints of dawn trembling on the edge of night, he sensed that his every move was being watched. A hidden enemy, with motives as murky as the twilight itself, had already begun to set the stage for a confrontation that would test the very limits of loyalty and honor. With his heart pounding and his mind racing through endless possibilities, Messi knew that the battle for truth had begun and that the first act in this dangerous drama was now in motion. Every minute that ticked by only deepened the resolve in his eyes. He closed the notebook with a quiet finality, fully aware that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, uncertainty, and a reckoning that might shatter everything he held dear. Yet, as the darkness yielded to the emerging light of dawn, one thing remained clear: justice, however fierce, would be served. As the first light of dawn stretched its pale fingers over the horizon, Messi's villa was abuzz with a determined urgency. Every detail of his plan had been meticulously orchestrated, and now was the time for action. With his leather-bound notebook clutched tightly in hand, Messi set forth to reclaim not only his family's honor but also the trust of the countless innocents who had been misled by the treachery of one among them. In the days following his secretive nocturnal preparations, Messi reached out to every family member he trusted. His messages were brief yet resolute, summoning them for an urgent meeting at the villa, a gathering that promised to reveal the hidden machinations that had besmirched the Messi name. The replies came swiftly: distant cousins, long-forgotten kin, and even estranged relatives, all united by a shared heritage and a mutual desire to see justice served. They arrived with heavy hearts and a simmering anger that only deepened as they learned more about the extent of the deceit. The appointed evening found the grand hall draped in soft lamplight, its walls lined with portraits of ancestors whose eyes bore silent witness to centuries of family honor. A hush fell over the assembled kin as Messi stepped forward, his presence radiating both gravitas and sorrow. His eyes, dark and resolute, swept over the gathered faces as he began recounting the tragic story, a narrative of betrayal spun by a relative whose ambition had driven him to exploit the Messi legacy for personal gain. With measured cadence, Messi unveiled the damning evidence. Stacks of forged documents, meticulous digital records, and voice recordings formed an irrefutable dossier of fraud. Each revelation hit the room like a bolt of lightning. Whispers and murmurs gave way to stunned silence as the undeniable facts sank in. The fraudulent relative, who had long cloaked his actions in a facade of innocence, was now laid bare before his family. At that very moment, the deceiver made his appearance. Clad in an air of feigned nonchalance, he attempted to interject with halting explanations and desperate pleas for forgiveness. But Messi's unwavering gaze, fortified by the truth, left no room for denials. In a voice that was as firm as it was mournful, Messi declared that no amount of charm or rhetoric could undo the damage wrought upon their family's reputation. His words were not merely an indictment, they were a solemn warning that the Messi name, revered and respected, would no longer be used as a tool for deception. As tension mounted in the room, more relatives found the courage to speak. One by one, voices rose in testimony against the schemer. They recounted personal losses, financial hardships, and shattered trust, each account a stark reminder of how deeply the betrayal had cut. The collective outcry resonated with the weight of history and the promise of retribution, uniting the family in a common cause. From that night on, a council was formed, a dedicated body to oversee all future ventures bearing the Messi name, ensuring that every action would be steeped in integrity and transparency. The drama did not end in the confines of that opulent hall. In the ensuing weeks, legal steps were swiftly initiated against the fraudulent relative. As public sentiment surged in favor of accountability, media outlets began to broadcast the unfolding saga. The once powerful network of deceit crumbled under the dual pressures of legal scrutiny and the unyielding solidarity of the Messi family. With each new development, the message was clear: the exploitation of a proud legacy would no longer be tolerated. Amid the clamor of legal proceedings and public outcry, Messi found rare moments of solitude in his private study. Late into the night, he would sit in quiet contemplation, reflecting on the heavy cost of betrayal. Though his heart bore the scars of familial treachery, he also recognized that this painful chapter was a necessary crucible, a means to purify and ultimately strengthen the legacy he had spent a lifetime upholding. The journey ahead, he knew, would not be without further challenges. Yet, the resolve that had driven him to confront his kin was unshakable. In these reflective hours, Messi penned down his thoughts with a fervor born of both sorrow and hope. He wrote about the importance of unity, about the duty of every family member to safeguard the sanctity of their shared name, and about the need for relentless vigilance in the face of deceit. His words, intended for posterity, would serve as both a chronicle of a dark time and a guiding light for future generations. The pain of betrayal would always linger, but it would also be transformed into a legacy of resilience and justice. As the months passed, the family slowly began to heal. The wounds inflicted by the betrayal, though deep, started to mend under the steady influence of truth and accountability. The disreputable relative, now ostracized and facing the full weight of his misdeeds, was left to grapple with the ruins of his ambition. Meanwhile, Messi dedicated himself to outreach efforts, organizing charitable initiatives to restore what had been lost and to honor those who had suffered at the hands of deception. Standing at the crossroads of past pain and future promise, Messi emerged not only as a champion on the field but as a guardian of honor and truth off it. His actions became a clarion call, a reminder that while ambition and fortune can be tempting, the integrity of one's name is priceless. His legacy, enriched by both triumphs and trials, would forever serve as a beacon for those who believe that honor must be preserved at all costs. As twilight descended on one final day of reckoning, Messi stepped outside into the cool embrace of the evening air. In that moment, beneath the vast, starlit sky, he felt a profound peace. The battle for truth had been hard-fought, and though scars remained, the future shone bright with the promise of redemption. His was a story of betrayal transformed into a legacy of unity and steadfast resolve, a story that would echo through generations, forever reminding the world that justice and honor are the true measures of a legacy.